Hey, Amy.
Hi.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi there.
We are live from Barbados. We're here. I figured that we should go live together just because that seems to make sense since we're in the same place. And Amy's full of wisdom that I think that all of you guys can learn from. So today we're going to talk about 3 different things. They were posted as questions in the comments when I said that we were going live. And the first is, how do you foster a positive environment with multiple athletes in the same gym? I think it was specifically about females in the same gym that are competitive with one another. They might even be in the same weight class. This is specific for weightlifting. I mean, Amy has a weightlifting gym and coaches a number of female
Training partner while they themselves are in a training funk or not performing as well. And that can become really hard in a gym, especially with women and all of the emotions that we have. And so I think the best thing to do is try to really teach everybody that's in your gym or everybody that you coach that there are going to be ebbs and flows in training, and there's going to be ups and downs and lots of highs and lots of lows. And it's important to surround yourself with people who have the same goals as you, but who are also going to support you in both good times and bad. And so I think over the years, what I have found is to try to bring people together that, you know, like each other and get along and are able to really selflessly support their teammates while also being selfish enough to be a strong athlete themselves. And so to be a really competitive athlete, you have to be very selfish. And so sometimes it's hard to be able to, you know, when you're trying to muster up all the energy for yourself to get through a training, to then have the energy to be supportive to a teammate. And so you never want it to be forced, and you want it to be authentic. And so it's really nice when you find a group of people that can work together, and on days that they have, you know, maybe I'm having a really bad day one day and Adee's my training partner and she's having an amazing day. I think it's important to kind of teach and foster the environment where Adee would be happy, you know, or I would be happy for her and she would be happy for me. So on days that I'm having a really bad day, then I can live vicariously through Adee. Like, oh my God, she's having an amazing day today, and be really genuinely happy for her and know that there's going to come a day where she's having a shitty day and I'm having a great day, and I'm gonna want her to be happy for me and not jealous for me or jealous of me.
Are there like specific conversations that you have with your athletes? Like, do you ever have to sit them down and talk about it and like teach them these kinds of things, or is it just kind of unspoken?
I think, I think it depends on every individual. I found that a lot of athletes that have come from team sports in the past, even though weightlifting is a very individual sport, that have come from team sports in the past that are naturally just very happy for their teammate and naturally just very happy for their friend. And then I have found athletes who become very jealous of the other person's success, and not only that, but very jealous of the coach's attention. And so, you know, I think that there are times when you definitely need to sit down and have a conversation and be like, hey, look, like, there we go. I think it's part of something that I teach with mental training. Like, hey, you know, this person is having a really great week, and I know you're having a really shitty week, and sometimes it's really hard to see someone else succeeding and be happy for them when you're struggling so much. But your time is going to come, and you know, and if you can learn to be happy for this person, that's actually going to benefit your own training, and it's going to make you a stronger person to be able to be selfless in those situations and help that other person succeed. Or maybe one athlete has a huge competition coming up and the other athlete doesn't have a big competition coming up. Okay, so how can we help this athlete be their best in training right now? You know, and then when it's your turn, it's your turn. And so I think, it's definitely not conversations I like to have. I don't want to sit someone down and be like, look, you're being a jealous asshole, or you're not being a very supportive teammate. But I think when you bring the right people together, it kind of just naturally occurs. And the thing with, jealousy with the coach, I think the hardest thing is, as a coach, to really make sure that you're not playing favorites, that you're not like catering to one person more than another, or giving another person more attention than another. There's been situations when I'm in the gym and I have multiple athletes training at the same time, and they're training for different big events. And, I may be talking more about one event than the other. And I catch myself like, okay, wait, like their event isn't any more important than this event. And it's a constant learning experience for myself as well, to make sure that I'm giving everyone attention, equal attention, regardless of what is going on in their life. And that is difficult because every athlete has different needs, especially with females. Some are mentally stronger than others, and some are more emotional than others. And, some get offended more easily when I yell, whereas others strive when I yell. And so I think part of being a coach is to really kind of learn what works for each of your athletes and do it in a way that sustains that positive environment. Because I think it's important for the coaches to set an example, like, this is the environment we want to have, this is how we treat each other, this is how we respect each other, and I think that it grows from there.
Yeah. I think it also is probably helpful if you're conscious of giving all of the athletes equal attention, that's something that they see. So it's not like you're giving one particular athlete more attention and that can make jealousy thrive. It's like, oh no, everybody's equally as important here.
Right.
Everybody gets equal attention. I'm going to get my attention, so there's no reason for me to.
Yeah, and one of the biggest, and I have made so many mistakes in my coaching career, and something that I learned is when one athlete is having a really amazing training day or even training cycle, and another athlete is not having the greatest day. In the past, I used to maybe switch my focus more to the person that was having a great day, thinking, okay, they're having a great day. They really need more encouragement. They really need my attention because they're doing so well. And then my attention would kind of be pulled from the person maybe not having the greatest day. And I realized kind of on my own that really, some people may think, oh, wow, well, the person having a really crappy day should get more attention. But I don't agree with that. Yeah, it needs to be equal. The person who is doing very well should get the same attention that the person who is not doing very well.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go over and then completely switch your attention to the person who's struggling, because then the person doing well is going to be like, what the frick? I'm doing so great, and she's over there paying attention to this person. And then and vice versa, the person who's not doing good is going to be like, oh God, this person's doing so great, and that's where my coach's attention is. And then they feel like failures in that. So then they feel like crap. Not only are they having a bad training day, but then their coach doesn't give a shit about them because they're having a bad training day. And so I've really learned to put my focus both places, because that way the athletes learn too, whether they're having a bad day or a good day, they're still getting all of me. That I'm not going to judge them, or I'm not going to abandon them on days that are tough. And I'm not going to blow sunshine up their ass on days that are great and ignore everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of really fostered a lot of strength within the people that train together.
And I'm not sure if the person, I think it was Gwen that asked this question. I'm not sure, Gwen, if your gym is like this, but at Catalyst, as well as at a lot of other weightlifting gyms that take weightlifting pretty seriously, there's this unspoken rule of once everyone approaches a certain weight on the bar, you pay attention to that person. So you don't lift at the same time as another person who's taking a certain weight on the bar. And I think that kind of creates this attitude everyone's important. And it doesn't matter how much, it's not the number of weight on the bar, it's more the percentage or how close that person is getting to their heaviest set for the day. And it's not even I've never had to have been told.
Right.
I think it's just
it's something unspoken. That's taught. It's an unspoken rule that we teach, by our behaviors and our mannerisms in the gym, that basically to kind of pay attention to your surroundings and what your training partner is doing. And if they're reaching their heaviest working set for the day or for a PR, everybody kind of takes a moment and watches them do that and cheers for them.
And you wait your turn.
And you do wait your turn and kind of, go in rotation. And that way everybody is not only getting the attention from the coach, but also from each other. And that really brings about, you know, a great team atmosphere as well. I have been in gyms before where everybody just lifts at the same time and the coach is just constantly like moving their head, and the athletes just really aren't paying attention to what each other's doing. They're maybe on their phones or, you know, listening to music on their headphones and kind of not paying attention, and you notice that maybe they don't cheer for each other a lot. And so, I definitely think that's too. And all the athletes know when people are getting near their maximum lifts, or even at a time in their cycle when it's not PR time, but it's like heavy working sets or things that are really strenuous for a person, or just, you know, something that's been hard for them for the past, like people take notice of that. And it's really encouraging.
And I think for me as an athlete, being part of Team Catalyst and training with a bunch of girls at the gym, I mean, I think they have like the most amount of females of any weightlifting club I've ever been a part of. Being a part of that environment, I always had the attitude of paying attention as a learning opportunity. Like watching Aimee coach another athlete was also a learning opportunity for me. Like watching them correct their technique or watching them make a lift that they had just missed. And I like to think of turning jealousy or comparison into appreciation or inspiration instead of being, you know, I know for sure me comparing myself to somebody else or me being jealous of somebody else is like drinking poison and hoping the other person's going to die. But I'm the one who's going to suffer. So they don't even feel the feelings. Like I'm feeling this jealousy. They don't know I'm jealous. This is doing nothing to that person. It's only doing negative to me. So once I get the attitude, no idea what that noise is, by the way. Everybody gets some weird noise in the hallway. So once I remember that, like I'm the only one who's suffering from this jealousy and comparison, I try and think, you know, like it's kind of it's like a shadow, like you're projecting onto somebody else what you're feeling about yourself, and I just want to be inspired by that person and appreciate them, and that can totally change everything. Like I don't have to suffer. I can be inspired by them and appreciate them and see in them some things that I want in myself. And especially if you're around these people all the time, I love remembering you're the average of the people you spent the most time with. So, you know, that jealousy usually is because you want something or you want to be like that person. So I try and remember that, and I try and think about like, wow, like it's so cool that someone can do that, and that's just evidence that I can do that too. Like,
right, it is very much like, oh my gosh, if they can do that, I can do that. And also what you were speaking about is like, that's poison for yourself. And if you don't, like, if the coach doesn't recognize that or you don't recognize it, that poison starts to eat you up, and then it affects your training.
Totally.
And then it affects your attitudes toward your training partners. And, you know, I've been in situations in the past where I've noticed, like, other girls getting jealous of one girl, and then they end up ganging up and not liking that girl, and then it makes that girl feel like shit, and then her training starts to suffer, and it's just a really, you know, it's not a good situation for anybody to be in. And I think that over all of my years in the sport, when I was an athlete training with all girls, and then when I became a coach, and when we opened our first gym, it's kind of been a work in progress for us to kind of, you know, for me to figure out, like, okay, how can I avoid this, or how can I prevent this from happening, and what's the best way for me to foster a positive environment without causing jealousy, or without playing favorites, or without making anyone feel less important, or whatever. And so, and I love still any new athlete that comes into the team, or any new athlete I take on, I learn more and more about what it takes to be a strong female team, and to support one another and love each other. And
I have one more question before we move on to the next topic. So this is my last question about teams. So when you bring on a new female onto the team, is that a decision that's like, or any athlete onto the team, is it like a team decision? Like you ask the other athletes how they feel? Do you involve them in that process, or do you just say, hey, we're bringing this person on the team?
It really depends. You know, like, for example, in CrossFit, well, this isn't female, but with Cody, he's, you know, my main CrossFit athlete, and he has been.
Cody Anderson,
10th in the world last year. So I've coached him for 2.5 years, and out of respect for him, there's been other people who have asked me, now there's no regionals, but last year going into regionals, and even right after regionals, before we knew there was going to be a change, there were several people, men, that asked me to coach them, but they were from the same region as Cody. And so I felt that would be a conflict of interest. And I did talk to, anytime I take on a new athlete, I talk to him and say, hey, how do you feel about this person? And he'll be honest and say, I don't feel comfortable with that. And rightfully so, because it's like someone, when it was regionals and there was only 5 people coming from the West region that had 15 games athletes in it, I understand his concern about that. And I am loyal to my athletes. And so in that situation, I do. In other situations, if I feel like, Greg and I are very conscious of who we're bringing onto the team. For example, 2 Canadian weightlifters recently reached out to me to ask me to take over their coaching. And before I did so, I talked to Amanda, who actually Greg coaches, but she's on our team, and she's a world team member. And I wanted to make sure these girls weren't any direct competition with her, that they weren't 49 kilo lifters, that they weren't competing with her for a Pan Am spot, just to be respectful, and to be loyal to our athletes that have been with us for so long. And then other times, if it's an athlete that I don't think is in direct competition with one of our athletes, then we just bring them on. And then we send out a group text to our whole team and saying, welcome so-and-so to the team. They've just joined our team. And then we kind of explain who's coaching them, either Greg or I, or Mike, who also coaches a couple girls on our team. And we have this group text with our whole team, and everybody's like, welcome, and sends hearts. Right. And then everybody follows each other on Instagram, and it's like, and everybody welcomes the new person in with open arms. And like when we do a camp at our house or go to a competition, everyone's so welcoming and brings them in. And so that's a great question. It really depends. Yeah. It really depends on if it's like a direct competition or,
Cool.
So.
Well, we're going to move on to the next topic. I can't see the comments. I don't know how to see the comments from my cell phone. Maybe eventually at the end, Aimee will go on her phone and look at the comments.
I'll look on my phone now while you're going to the next question.
So the next topic we're going to talk about is unsolicited comments about your body. So how do you deal with that? So funny enough that this question was just asked, because we are currently in Barbados, one of the Caribbean islands, and we're laying on the beach, and some guy on the first day comes up to us and he strikes up a conversation. We're just like talking, whatever. And then he basically says, do you guys work out? Because you look tonish. And we started laughing because we're like, what does tonish even mean? Like toned but ish?
Like toned-ish?
Like you work out, but like maybe you don't work out? Like we're just like not sure exactly what that means.
And I don't think it was like, and you can't like put it off to a language barrier because they all speak English here.
Yeah,
so it was like, you guys,
English.
You're like tonish.
And I was just like, what does that even mean? And then at the same time, it's like, why are you commenting on my body, right? Like there's that moment of, oh, like you're talking about my body and I didn't like give you permission to do so. But I guess it happens. I mean, it's interesting to be in a place where you are muscular or you're leaner or you have like anything about your body, really. You have big boobs, small boobs, you're bigger, smaller, taller, shorter, like doesn't really matter. So I don't think I have a super great answer for this question. I am kind of an awkward giggler where I'll just like awkwardly giggle, and oftentimes I try to just tell the truth. I think if I just like speak the truth, then and I'm also very I try and take a second to breathe and feel the pride in the way that I treat my body and how I am, and remember that. So if somebody says, oh, like, do you work out your tonish? I go, yeah, like we've been working out, pretty much our entire lives. And she used to be a national champion weightlifter, and I used to compete in Olympic style weightlifting. And
meanwhile, I'm trying to hide my face and just like not talk at all. And she's like telling our whole story about why we're tonish.
I try and just own it. So if somebody makes a comment being like, oh, you're looking really muscular, I'd say something like, yeah, like I work out a lot. I really love working out. I'd love to talk to you about it if you want to talk more about it. And then I think that kind of throws people off guard a little bit. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's a little like meant to be like a little jab where they want to make you feel a little bit worse to make themselves feel a little bit better. And in that case, I think when you take the opportunity to be have conviction and feel confident in what you do and feel proud of your choices and say, hey, yeah, I do work out. I love it. I do CrossFit, or I currently am a dancer and I love dancing, or I do Olympic style weightlifting, or I'm powerlifting, or whatever it is. I think that if you just own it, then that is really like it takes people aback. Like it takes people it takes people a second, and then it actually sometimes inspires people to be like, hey, if they can be that way, I can be that way too. Because they're hoping that, if you feel a little bit worse about it, then they're like, ha ha ha, like I can still be my grumpy old person.
Yeah, like the fellow who asked us another guy asked us if, I think we were on our way to the gym, and he asked us if we worked out, and like, he was saying that he hadn't been able to train for a while. And so we were basically saying like, yeah, we go to the gym and we work out and we're fit, and I do my fight club and she does her dancing, but we don't train how we did when we were athletes. That we just maybe train. Some days we only can move for 30 minutes a day or even 10 minutes a day. And sometimes some of that movement is just going on a walk for our dog, but we do what we can every day. And, even though we may not look like we did when we were athletes, we're still proud of our bodies and proud of what we do to remain fit and healthy.
Yeah, and it's hard. I think anytime someone comments about your body unsolicited, there's this moment of wanting to just completely react and bite them back, or make or feel so embarrassed or uncomfortable. And I try the thing that I think is the most important is taking a moment before you respond. So not responding automatically and taking a minute and just thinking about what you want to say. The first thing that pops into your mind doesn't have to be the thing that you say back. Like sometimes I want to be like, F you, a-hole.
Yeah, I get defensive.
Like getting defensive, being like, who are you to talk about my body? Like that's the first thing I want to say. Yeah. But if you take a second, take a breath, the first thing that comes to your mind does not have to be your response. You can actually choose a different response. And I like that. My mom always told me to kill people with kindness.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Sometimes when the way people approach the do you work out or make comments about your body or your butt or your traps or whatever, like sometimes I want to get defensive about it. And sometimes I want to I get judgmental and I look at them who may clearly not work out, and I feel myself getting judgmental, and I want to be like, well, clearly you don't, or something mean. And then I have to remember, like, okay, not all people are commenting to be malicious, or they're not making fun of my big legs, or maybe they're just genuinely curious.
Yeah. And you have no idea. They might work out.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of times I get defensive and want to snap back. And so I kind of have to take a minute and just say, yeah, I'm a former athlete, or I train for fun. Yeah.
I did post on my Instagram yesterday a photo, like, laughing at the person who called us Tonish, and a bunch of the comments were, a couple CrossFit athletes had commented saying that when somebody makes a comment like that, they just say no. Like, do you work out? And then they're just like, no.
No.
So I'm just like, maybe I'll try that in the future, just like joke, being like, no, I was just born this way.
I woke up like this.
Yeah. I am not funny. Like, I'm actually not a funny person, so I don't have, like, quick wit like that. If you have quick wit like that, I would definitely suggest going the humor route of being like, no, like, I don't work out.
I'm going to try that.
Or, like, no, do you have any suggestions for what kind of workouts I should do?
Yeah.
Something like that. I wish that I was
like,
wittier.
No, I really wish I did.
Yeah. I've been trying to get into it.
I've been trying so hard to work out.
And our final topic, unless you have anything else to say about
I couldn't find the questions on here.
No, there might not be questions.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't find anything.
Was there any comments on the thing?
Let me go back into here.
Wait, it says right here, I think. Just go there, yeah. And then we're just seeing if there's any comments. Nope, no comments.
Oh, they would be right here?
Yeah, they would be right there. You can just keep it there.
Okay. Yeah, so with the final thing I say with that body image thing is...
we're going to talk about body image in a second.
Oh, yeah.
This is about unsolicited advice or comments
about your
Wait, we'll look at the comments after.
Oh, okay.
Aimee, don't get distracted.
I know. Now I lost my train of thought. When it comes to the unsolicited advice, I think that what I try to remember is that we never know what that person is going through.
That's a good
or
point.
what insecurities that person has about their own body, which makes them point out our body. So perhaps we, they see me and I have the dream body that they have tagged in their Pinterest of their goals of what they want to look like. Or, maybe they're really insecure about their own body. Or maybe they have a great body, but they look in the mirror and hate themselves. We never know what they're going through, which makes them comment on our body. So even though we may be taken aback by it, I think that we should stop and appreciate that they're commenting for a reason. And it's not always malicious or jealousy or to be like, wow, like where'd those biceps come from? But people are genuinely like curious because they have goals too.
Yeah.
And
maybe they don't know how to break the ice.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And that's like the only way they know how to break the ice. I do appreciate just assuming the best in people. I don't know if anybody listening to this has ever read the book, The 4 Agreements, but one of the agreements is never make assumptions. I was talking to somebody recently and they said the only modification they make on the never make assumptions is to only assume the best in other people.
Yeah.
And I think that if you people are doing the best that they can with the resources that they have, with the experiences that they've been through, and they really are just doing the best that they can, and they might not be doing it the way that you want them to, but you are in control of your own responses and your own behavior, and you can be an example of somebody who's just kind, and you don't have to even really engage, but it's totally up to you. Those are a couple options of what you can do. A, own it. Talk about it confidently. Tell them, I work out. I love it. This is what I've been doing for my whole life. Like, thanks so much for noticing. Or B, make a joke. Say, no, I don't work out. Or like some type of joke like that. Or C, not engage with it at all and be like, and just let them go on by. But I never think the good option is going to be to make them feel bad or to get defensive or to get angry.
Yeah, even if it's your first instinct.
And I do think that is just going to fuel exactly what that person wanted.
Yeah, and like you said before, that's a good thing you brought up is maybe it was just an icebreaker. Like maybe they're curious to what we do.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're, just want to spark up a conversation.
Maybe they want to get tonish too.
Yeah, or maybe they're single and think you're hot.
Yeah.
And they're like, so you work out? And they just like trying to get an in.
True. It could be like an awkward way to just pick up like an awkward pickup line or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, you never know. And I'm the first to say sometimes I want to get defensive, like I said before, and I want to like snap back something rude, but I've really tried to like be like empathize with where they're coming from and what is making them ask that question.
Yeah. Okay. Our next topic, final topic. If you have any questions, put it in the comments throughout this entire video. We'll answer those at the end. This is going to be about body image. Both of us could probably talk for days about body image. I mean, I've been coaching Aimee. I've been her nutrition coach for
5 years.
Since not 5 years,
like
since
2015.
Years. So 4 years.
4 years is practically 5.
I thought I was an over exaggerator. She is mega over exaggerator for sure. For 4 years, and so we've had many.
I told you a million times I don't exaggerate.
We have been talking to each other about body image for a long time. I think the question was, do you ever have negative thoughts about your body image, and how do you deal with that?
No, we're perfect. We think we're perfect.
Yeah, I'm just like confident in my body all the time.
No.
Not the case. It's funny, I laugh about it because, I mean, I used to be almost 200 pounds and I hated my body. I was reckless with my body. I would do things that were just sad. Like, I would hide and eat food. I would hide food. I would steal food. I would, like, just did it to comfort myself because of how much I didn't like about myself. But one thing, so I still feel that way many times. I still feel very self-conscious about my body sometimes. I still go through phases where I just don't like the way anything looks on me. I think I look fat, which is absolutely ridiculous when you actually think about it genuinely. Like, I am not fat, and for me to feel like I'm fat is just absolutely ridiculous. So I have 2 pieces of advice. I'm not gonna let Aimee talk, but she talks like way more than me, so I'm gonna give her, she's gonna wait. My 2 pieces of advice. First of all, my first piece of advice is that you don't have to intentionally try to care about the scale or the way that you look in the mirror. It just comes naturally to us. It's so ingrained in our society and culture for us to care about the way our bodies look and for us to care about the number on the scale. So I don't have to actually try. It's gonna matter to me. What I do intentionally try to do is focus on the things that are actually within my control, because the things that aren't, like the scale and the way that I look in the mirror, is almost entirely outside of my control. But what is inside my control is my effort, my attitude, my food choices, the way that I treat other people and my relationships with other people. Those types of things are within my control. So I try and intentionally bring myself back to focusing on those things. And it's a great distraction. And it's going to make you feel so much better, which ultimately makes you think that you look better in the mirror. If I'm proud of the kind of person that I am, you automatically feel better about yourself. You automatically think you're more beautiful. You automatically feel better in your clothes. It's just something to intentionally focus on. So I try and intentionally focus on the inside when I'm spending too much time focusing on the outside. I had another piece of advice, but I kind of forget. My second piece of advice was that when I'm feeling really terrible about my body, it's generally not actually my body that's making me feel terrible. And it's usually a sign or a symptom of something else going on. So a great example that Michael, my husband, gives is usually when your knee is hurting you, the first reaction is to like roll out your knee, like, use what are those things called? Those hard balls? Lacrosse ball to like roll out your knee. But sometimes it could be your hip that is causing your knee pain. Or maybe it's even like your shoulder that's causing your knee pain. Like you have a shoulder issue, so when you do a specific exercise at the gym, it's like trickling all its way down to your knee. Maybe it's your ankle that's causing your knee issue. For me, when I'm like too focused on negative self-talk about my body, it's generally something else that's happening. Like maybe I'm super stressed at work. Maybe I'm overcommitting myself. Maybe I'm not giving myself space to just be. Or not being consistent with my morning routine, or I haven't spent time with Michael alone, and we haven't connected in a long time. Those types of things start trickling out, and because of those things, I start making poor food decisions. I start not taking care of myself. I start doing those other things that affect the way that my body looks and also the way that I feel about my body. So I try and take a second and think about like what's changed in my life. Like, why am I feeling so shitty about my body right now? Because I think it's a symptom. I don't think it's a cause. Like, I think that's like a symptom of something deeper that's going on. And I really try and become a detective, like my own little detective, and figure out what is it that's actually making me feel shitty.
Yeah. I think I agree with everything Adee said, but also...
I'm so smart.
Well, also because we've talked about this so many times. I think I am definitely a person. I am 42 now, and I am not the athlete I used to be. And with 42, everything just starts dropping, and I do get very insecure a lot. And I think for me, what's important is to have someone that you can like bounce things back and forth with. Like Adee and I, all the time over the years, have like sent pictures of ourselves to each other and like, I'm having a day and I just feel like everything looks terrible and I'm so fat and ugly and look at all these wrinkles and my boobs are sagging to my belly button and what's happening to me. And then she is there to text me back and remind me like, you're not looking at yourself the way I'm seeing you, or you're not seeing yourself the way, your husband's seeing you or other people see you. You're seeing yourself with this distorted view, with an emotional, you're looking at yourself distorted with emotions. And, and then she'll send me pictures of herself and say, oh, I'm so fat. I hate this, and then I talk her off the ledge. And I think that both of us are these, we're these women that people look up to, in the community, and people look to both of us for answers all the time, and we're always there to be reasonable and to talk to our athletes or our clients about having a positive body image and loving yourself no matter what you look like and no matter what day it is. And so sometimes it's hard for me because I'm supposed to be this strong person, and I'm a helper, and I'm constantly telling everybody to love themselves. But here I am hating myself today, and then that makes me feel really guilty. And so I kind of have to remind myself I'm human too, and I may not display or wear my weakness on my sleeve, but I do have someone that I can trust that will talk me off that ledge when I'm feeling vulnerable and I'm not feeling good about myself. And like Adee said, a lot of times when my body image is low, it's because something got me to that space. So it's likely because I haven't been making good food choices, or I haven't been going to the gym.
Or you're traveling a lot.
Or I'm traveling a lot, or I'm, all my attention is going to my athletes or my family, and I haven't been taking the time to fill my cup. That's typically when I'm starting to not like what I see in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm letting myself go, not intentionally all the time, but sometimes maybe intentionally, because I'm emotional or something's going on in my life and I want to sit and watch Netflix for 6 hours instead of, go to the gym or make good food choices. And that definitely affects how you look. And not only that, it affects your happiness and how you feel about yourself. And that is portrayed in the mirror when you're like frumpy and like pissed off, that really shines through. And so I think that, a lot of times when you're feeling insecure, like Adee said, you have to kind of figure out, why am I feeling insecure? What about me?
What's changed?
Yeah.
Like what's different?
What ball is dropped in your life that has made major changes? And also, I'm not going to repeat everything she said because she was right. And I added my little blurb, but I think there's things that you can do to remind yourself that you are beautiful and that you have a great body, or that you can, maybe you have gained a few pounds or let yourself go, but what can you do to get it better? Maybe you can go get your hair done. Maybe you could go sit out in the sun and get a tan. And, maybe you can devote 10 minutes to the gym every day, or to walking your dog, or whatever, to get moving and get back in the pattern again. Maybe you've fallen off the wagon with your macros. Okay, talk to your coach. How do I get back on? Start making small changes every day to get me back to where I was before. And not only that, but maybe you need to go buy a new pair of jeans that make you look hot.
Yeah, I hate wearing jeans that don't fit me.
Yeah.
I gained weight after I stopped competing. I competed around like 138 pounds, and I got all the way up to 155, and I had to go get new jeans. When I'm sitting in jeans and they're like cutting me off and they don't feel good, it makes me feel worse than I actually am.
Yeah.
Just like buying a new pair of jeans that fits can dramatically change the way you feel about yourself, I think, personally.
So yeah, even if you gain 10 pounds because you're at a place in your life where you've gained weight, and you just aren't in a place in your life where you can maybe get to the gym and go and train and do all of these things to get your body 3 months ago back, go buy a new pair of jeans. Mm-hmm. Go buy a new dress, stuff that fits you properly, so that you're not trying to shove yourself into these clothes that are too small, and then you just feel worse about yourself. Maybe you have your blueberry muffin top hanging over the top of your shorts, and you're like, fuck my life. Like, my blueberry muffin top is all over the top of my pants.
Oh my God.
That's time to go buy a new pair of pants that like make your ass look good and like make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. A couple things too, also on top, it made me think of it, and now I forgot, of course. But I was thinking while you were talking that, so I have had the good fortune of working with thousands and hearing experiences of thousands and thousands of different people that come to Working Against Gravity to change their nutrition. People that are coming to us to change their nutrition are probably coming from a place of like not being 100% okay with where they're at and wanting to change. Or I've heard like so many conversations about body image. You'd be so surprised. Like the people that you think have it totally together, like games athletes or influencers or all these different people, they struggle with the exact same thing. And from seeing these conversations and also seeing them come out of the negative body image, the thing that I see as being most consistent is it's not the way you look in the mirror that changes the way that you feel about yourself. I know, like, I've had abs for I don't know how many years, 10 years, 11 years, having abs or not having abs or having less of abs is not what makes me feel good about myself. What makes me feel good about myself and what makes most people feel amazing about themselves is that they have integrity with themselves. And that means that you actually do the things that you've committed to doing. So whether that's just getting to the gym or whether that's making your bed in the morning, it doesn't really matter. Following through on commitments you've made to yourself makes you feel better about yourself, and that automatically makes you think you look better. So switching your mindset from I need my body to look a certain way for me to be happy to I am already happy, like happiness is already inside you, and finding it through just being the kind of person that you want to be. And then automatically the looks will start to come, or you'll just start seeing yourself as looking better automatically. And that's always going to be a good thing. So I would suggest.
Yeah. And also I wanted to add to that, that's such a great point, but I wanted to add to that, at times like that, comparison is really the thief of confidence. And so when you're feeling really shitty about yourself and you can't look in the mirror, you have really bad body image, it's not a good time to be on Instagram looking at all of, going on Kendall Jenner's page and looking at how beautiful she is, or following, the other people in your sport who may feel better, or, anybody. You don't want to be, that's not a good time to be comparing your body to somebody else. That would be a time to unfollow those people, or, just not go on social media and look at that stuff until you kind of can gain your confidence back. Because the more you compare what you think you look like to what other people look like, your confidence is just going to plummet.
Yeah. Comparison is also a tricky thing. Like, we as human beings are really bad at making comparisons. We think we're really good at it, but we're actually terrible at comparing ourselves to other people. You're generally comparing your weakest pieces of yourself to someone else's greatest pieces of them.
Yes.
And that's just like not a fair comparison. If I compare my ass to Amy's ass, I lose every time. If she compares her abs to my abs, I win every time. So, and then also there's times where you do comparison and you win and you get this like little ego boost. And that's not good for you either. That's not where you want to get your confidence from. So, I hope that those tips are helpful in how to help you feel better about your body. If you have any specific questions about it, put it in the comments and tag us and we'll go back to it and we'll answer those questions. I did see one comment, which was something about us hosting some type of a retreat. Spend some mindful time with two of us. Yeah, maybe we will
That
host
would be amazing.
A women's health retreat
I think
day.
it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think we would nail that.
Yeah, I think we would actually too. We could definitely do something like that in the future. At Amy's house, because it's amazing.
Yeah, or in Barbados. It's amazing.
Yeah, we could do it in Barbados. Slightly more inconvenient, but might be possible. Yeah, well, we love all of you guys, and we
Thank you for watching.
All of you guys are beautiful. And one more point, actually. I was thinking about this before. It just came back to me. One of the things that I learned from going to Burning Man actually last year was I was walking around Burning Man and every single person that I saw was absolutely beautiful and sexy and amazing and fully self-expressed. And they were all so many different shapes and sizes. Big women, small women, big boobs, small boobs, flat asses, flat chests, like men that were like tall, short, like it didn't matter. And they were all, you could appreciate something that was beautiful in all of them. And it made me think this thing, like, if I think so many different people are beautiful and sexy and amazing, then aren't I included in that category?
Yeah.
Like, aren't I also beautiful and sexy and amazing?
Especially because those people at Burning Man, they like walk around and they just exude this confidence.
Yeah.
They just like own it. And the more you own it and you walk with confidence and people see that you love yourself and you're proud of yourself, you're just like radiate this beauty that cannot be made with makeup or filters.
I always think about this, like beauty is a lot of beauty and confidence comes from like an energy within you. And sometimes you meet somebody and maybe you don't find them like the most attractive right when you meet them, but then you get to know them and they have like the most amazing confident energy and they become like 10 times better looking. Like, all of a sudden, they're like the sexiest person ever. That is something to focus on. And that's something you're in control of. Like, you're in control. Like, you're just not in control of what you look like sometimes. So what you're in control of is the energy that you exude, and focusing on fostering a positive energy. That is something people can feel and see, and something you can feel and see. And that's going to make you automatically better looking.
And that's something people can hang on to.
Yeah.
Like, forever. Like, your body's going to change. Like, this it's all gonna go.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
you're
like,
gonna
when you
get
meet someone,
older.
when you meet someone who's like really old, like I think I met like this 87-year-old lady. Or no, I actually recently watched the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary, Notorious RBG. She's got to be in her 80s, like maybe late 70s. I don't know. She's an older lady. She is so beautiful, and it's just like, not because of, I mean, she has wrinkles. She's definitely looks like she's an older lady. She's like moves slower. She talks slower. She is so beautiful. And it's because of this like energy that she radiates, more so than anything about the way that she looks. Like, it's
timeless.
Matter.
That's what makes you timeless.
Totally. So I hope that you realize that you have that within you, and just become a little detective and figure out what is actually stressing you out, and what's making you feel not so great about your body, and work on that. Work on the things that you can control, because you don't want to end up at the end of your life feeling like you let your body image control your life, or the number on the scale rule your life, and look back and realize it didn't fucking matter. Like, it just didn't matter as much as you thought it did. So, I don't want any of us to end up there. And this is a good reminder for myself, too, because sometimes I'm just down in the dumps about my body. So
yeah, we are. It's true. We're down in our dumps about our body sometimes. And sometimes we're like, we're freaking hot.
That's true, too. Definitely
look
tonish.
How amazing I look. My God.
So tonish.
So hot. The hottest.
That is all that we have for you guys today. And hope you enjoyed. Drop us a comment if you have any questions.
We'll be
here in the comments.
We'll answer them.
If you tag us, it'll probably be more helpful. We love you all.